So, like Google Slides, Google Forms is super versatile. For instance, you accessed all this material in a recursive way through Google Forms, but you can use Google Forms for quizzes, as worksheet substitutes, as assessments, as registration, as teeny tiny exit tickets. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. So treat this as you would a like an assessment creator, but know that it can be a lot more. Obviously, you can give it a title. Whatever that title is will show up here. There are several different types of questions that you can use. Short answer, which you can also um, have gradable for you. All of these options, except for these options, you can have to automatically grade for you. These two are tricky, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. But multiple choice checkbox drop down, you can upload files if you wanted them to upload an image or proof of work somewhere else. You can use linear scale, multiple choice grids, checkbox grids, and even date and time. So some people even use this for their small businesses. I know that the State Department, the English department of the State Department, uses forms for just about everything. I have applied for positions and committees through the State Department with Google Forms. They can look real nice and sleek. They're very organized, and students on this campus have been using them quite a bit, so don't hesitate to use them. Let's say that we're going to create a quiz. This is not automatically a quiz. It's just a form or a transmittable form. So what we'll do is we'll go up here to settings. And if I want to make this a quiz, I'll go directly to quizzes and I'll toggle make this a quiz. Now, while I'm here, I can change a couple of settings. I can turn on locked mode, which means that students will not be able to get out of this quiz without it notifying you. So, for instance, I like to use the questions from the textbook, but there's some dumb teachers out there that have put the answers online. So I would turn on locked mode so they could only use their physical textbook and the questions that I've given them to answer it. You can also release their grades immediately, or if I have several paragraphs that I need to grade or things like that, which would show up as a 0, and kids don't like that, I might say don't assign that, or excuse me, don't release the grade until after I've reviewed it. You can also uncheck any of these. These are automatically checked. If you don't want students to see the correct answers or point values or missed questions, you can always change that. While we're here in settings, if you've turned this into a quiz, it's automatically collecting their email address and limiting to 1 response. But if I wasn't setting this up as a quiz, I would probably check both of those things. Sometimes if it's a longer quiz, I want them to see the progress bar. And sometimes if it's like a multiple choice review of a unit or something, I would shuffle the question order so that students, it's just a further precaution, I suppose, if students are looking at each other's screens and things like that. So now that I have turned this into a quiz, I can make questions and I can make several different options for answers. And however I want to do that is fine, but then I'll use this answer key to show which one is the correct answer, and then I can give it a point here. If I want to, and I do this pretty often, especially in ACT prep when they're doing multiple choice questions in preparation for the English and reading exams, I go ahead and give them answer feedback of why that question was correct. You can do the same thing for incorrect answers, including links and YouTube videos. For instance, if you were doing this as maybe a check assessment or a formative assessment, in math, you could tell them why that was the incorrect answer. And then if they needed help, or you thought that, if they got it wrong, then perhaps they need more help with that topic, you could link a YouTube video here or link to more instructions on how to do better the next time there. So go ahead and click done when you're done with that. You can make it required. You can duplicate it. You can also go to a section based on an answer. So you can get really, really in depth, similar to the form that you used to find this video. You can go to specific sections based on your answer. So if you just wanted to learn about Google Classroom, you could have skipped straight to that section. If I wanted, let's say, if they answered the correct answer, maybe they could submit the form. But if they, said option 2, which was wrong for whatever reason, you could make a new section, which is right here, and have them go to that for some more practice. So there's really a lot of really cool ways that you can use this for differentiation, for remediation, that I think are going to be more important now that our students are not with us in class. I'm not going to have the opportunity to see them face to face and to, um, talk with them as much, perhaps, if they're not in my class due to virtual learning. So using options like this and using forms in this way will be super helpful. If you'd like more help with how to use forms like that, definitely let me know. It can be kind of a labyrinth in a good way on the back end, um, but it can be really useful in your classroom. Some other things that I'll show you before we're done is if you wanted to send this to someone, obviously you could click send. From here, you can send it an email or get the link or embed it in your Google site if you wanted to. You can also make a copy, move it to trash, all of those basic things and preferences here on those 3 dots. You can also change the theme. So by choosing an image, it has a bunch of pre-made ones that are pretty cool. But you can also change the image yourself, which is also cool. You can change the colors. You can change the background. Lots and lots of things that you can do here to customize it just a little bit more. You can embed YouTube videos just like the form that you were looking at, same with images and text. Oh, it jumped down here. I like this because this is bold text. This isn't. I like this because it makes maybe some instructions stand out a little bit more. So I use that relatively often when I'm using forms. And then again, if you want to add more questions, you just use that plus button. Lots of things you can do here. It may take you some time to go through all of that, but it is definitely worth it, especially if you want them to be self-graded. It's a little bit harder for short answers. You can still have an answer key, but students have to spell it exactly correctly and they have to punctuate it exactly correctly if you want it to self-grade. And that's a little bit trickier. So you might have to go back through and grade those individual answers. Once students submit things in the responses section, you'll get all of your responses. And from here, you can grade by question, or you can look through by student. There's 3 options. Oh, a summary, by question, and then by student. And you can always download all of that information using the create a spreadsheet function, and that'll take you to Google Sheets with all of the data, time, student, correct answers, incorrect answers, all of that kind of stuff will be on that spreadsheet. If you don't want people to be looking at the quiz or the form, you can click that you're no longer accepting responses and give a response there for why. Again, Google Forms, there's so many things that I could talk about and we could do. So if you have any questions, please let me know and just play around with it because it's pretty great.